Also, you guys notice how this avatar, I just have the head showing? That's why. I didn't want you guys to be too distracted during the debate, so I had to just fucking... You guys wouldn't have even been listening the whole time, so I you know. Actually gave me an avatar. That's the DBD, the elf, right?
Yeah, I had got some commissions that were done. Like that's when I was. Yeah, it's her.
Oh my god, it's giant.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, you're good. While I'm setting this up, feel free to introduce yourself to chat and let everybody know what we're going to be debating on today.
All right. So my name is Carlos, but I go by Rainbow Munchie Cereal on Twitch, and I actually started streaming on Twitch. And what me and Spooks are going to be talking about right now is kind of killer entitlement. When I had watched his last video, it kind of piqued my interest because I've been playing the game since like 2018, 2019, and overall, I kind of like I get a lot of what he was, what you were saying on it. I just also wanted to like give my experience about like seeing the game change, seeing like the entitlement with around it, and overall just where it is. And I think we'll talk about if it's in a good place or a bad place, or just overall current landscape of the game and stuff like that.
Okay, well, go ahead and start with whatever it was in the video or videos that piqued your interest, what you disagree with me on, and what you would like to debate, or I'll let you go ahead and start it off.
All right. Well, I think one of the things I really appreciate is that you do play both sides. Like I think you playing Survivor and Killer is a good way to have a conversation. Like I think talking to only one person who plays Killer or only plays Survivor kind of leaves like the conversation kind of open ended. So one thing I kind of wanted to talk about is I would argue in a way that I don't know if Killer's entitlement is the right way I would describe it. I would say more so in this current landscape of Dead by Daylight, I think you having a killer having a sense of like superiority or type of way is kind of justified in a way, just based on the current landscape of the game. I think if you play killer and main killer, under certain circumstances, you have a right to be like kind of boisterous and kind of like, do you get what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think I get what you're trying to say, but I don't agree. I don't think killers have a right to be more entitled than Survivor players.
Okay, so the way I would qualify it is, I think the game is well, do you feel the game is Survivor side or Killer side right now?
I think it leans killer. I don't think it's Survivor sided. I think there's nothing
Okay.
that shows that it is.
Okay, so that's where we would initially disagree on, and I think I would disagree really strongly with that. More so because just this year, like I just think this year really showed that like behavior and overall like they have a tendency to be more towards the Survivor base, which is not necessarily I don't blame them for it because that's how they sell more, that's how they sell more cosmetics, that's how like overall the game grows. Like I think a lot of people joined like via Springtrap, like a lot of people were from the FNF fan community, which is nice. But I just think the current landscape of the game, I just think it really, in my opinion, kind of favors survivors, and especially if you're playing. I think the qualifying thing is this: if you're playing a lower tier killer and you beat quote unquote Swift, I think you can kind of have that right of like superiority, like or like kind of that air of borderline arrogance. Like I don't really condone that, but I think it's understandable. Do you agree with that?
I think that if you have experience in the game, particularly on both sides, as you mentioned, if you have a good amount of experience on both sides, then I think then your opinion can be valid. But I think your opinion also has to be based on some kind of clear evidence or some kind of statistic or some kind of something. I think a lot of, and I'm not saying this is you, by the way, but I think a lot of people say the game is survivor-sided based purely on emotion, based purely on the fact that they maybe had a couple games where they got their shit rocked, and they ignore the fact that they probably still win the majority of their killer games. Most of the people complaining do win 80%, maybe 70% of their killer games, and whenever they lose, they look at it as an unwinnable match that they couldn't have done anything about because it was just a sweaty Swift, when in reality, 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, when you look at the match, the killer actually made a ton of mistakes, a bunch of terrible decisions, and so many people are so willing to just let that go and refuse to look at their own mistakes and think that survivors are just this unstoppable force. And in my experience, playing the game as a killer main, I never feel like any game is just unwinnable from the get-go, not unless I make mistakes or if I commit to the wrong person or a number of things that could set set the match in a wrong favor for me. I'd never feel that way. I actually feel that way more as Survivor. I feel like in more cases I feel like the odds are stacked against me as Survivor than I do when I'm playing Killer. And I win the majority of my Killer matches. The majority of Killer streamers or players with a lot of experience that I see play the game also win the majority of their matches. So again, in order for me to think the game leans Survivor, I would have to see some kind of evidence, some kind of statistic, other than just like emotion, which I've yet to see.
Okay, so would you say that, because I know you covered it a lot, like about what the PTVs were doing, like what Behavior was doing, and I really appreciate like you bringing to light like a lot of issues in terms of patches, in terms of buffs. Like I think that's a really good thing for you to do. But would you say that Behavior kind of this year kind of wanted to make survivors like lives a little easier, or no?
I think that they were looking at the truth fact of, you know, many Survivor players complaining about specifically tunneling and slugging being an issue and making the game unfun for them. And I think that, kind of like what you said, if they see a vast majority of players complaining about something, that they do want to try to appease that, and they do want to try to make sure that those players feel heard and try to do something. And so I think that they were trying to tackle some of those issues in a way that they felt was, you know, helpful for survivors, but also rewarded killers and didn't punish them too harshly. They got a lot of feedback on those things, and obviously, ultimately, they didn't follow through with any of the decisions at all. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that they were trying to tackle that unfun aspect of the game, and I hope that they still do. They're just trying to find the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I catch myself being a little too harsh on them sometimes. I mean, I've never been in game development or anything like that, so I think I am a victim of, not victim, but like I do think I can be a little bit harsh on them sometimes. But I guess, in my opinion, I think this year I really like, just from overall like the palette density changes, the changes they made to like wanting to make unbreakable base kit, wanting to make it where you have elusive statuses, wanting to make it where your protection hit lasts longer. And just overall, like I just felt like in a way they've kind of made it where you have to play a certain way as killers. So in that way, like survivors think all killers play the same in a way. Like, for example, with the palette density change, for me at least, a lot of killers I play now had to bring brutal strength when I really never ran brutal strength. And for me, like it kind of just made me play a little bit more like, not generic, but a little bit more like, because I think we'll talk about this as well. Like I play mostly to win. Like yeah, I like having fun, but my fun stems from winning in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in this type of updates they made, and that how you admitted they did kind of go back on a lot of them, but I just think that in itself kind of showed they were willing like to put one side over the other. Like, do you think that's true or not?
No, I don't think it means they're willing to put one side over the other. I think if that was true, I think they would have just full sent all the changes and not really cared. I think a lot of it is experimental, especially in the time where they're trying to focus on making the game more fun and trying to focus on bug fixes and all these things. Now, obviously, they've tackled a lot of these things in the not the correct way, which is why they've gotten a lot of negative feedback, and they've wasted a lot of time and a lot of resources because they're not really doing things in the right way. But I don't think that they're trying to cater to one side and ignore the other. I think if that was the case, then none of these changes would have went through. I mean, even if you look at palette density for an example, that went through, and it was rough. And as a killer player, that it did feel really rough. And I actually was struggling way more when palette density went through. And what did they do? They reverted it. And now a lot of palettes are terrible for survivors, and now like there's tons of maps like Disturbed Ward, for example, like they've removed like almost every palette from inside that main building except for like one palette. So they like went like completely in the opposite direction, removing a lot of good palettes. So to say that they favor survivor or ignore killer, I think that that's a really silly statement that like factually if you look at the timeline and look at what they've done, it's just not true.
Hmm. So, well, that makes sense. Like, I do get it. Like, if they did go back on it, that shows they are listening to like the whole community rather than not just one side. That makes sense. So, would you say that in a way, like, you think it's a good mindset to play Dead by Daylight with the intent to win, or do you feel like you should just play more so like as a casual experience?
It's a good question. We mentioned we touched on this in the last debate as well, but I am now and I always have been in the state that you paid for the game and you should be able to play it however you want. If you want to play to win and you want to sweat at 5 gens, whether you're playing Killer or Survivor, that should be your prerogative. If you want to play for fun and you want to play Survivor and throw on blast mine flashbang shit and not even worry about gens and just try to stun the killer and goof around, then you're not playing to win. You're playing for fun and playing to goof around. I think that's awesome too. I think however you think is fun is valid. Go ahead and play if you're not breaking the rules, if you're not getting banned, you're not breaking TOS, do your thing. That's always been my view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with a lot of that. I think that like ever since I became a streamer in terms of this, I think it's become way more like of me being aware of like how upset I can get at this game. Because I had a couple days ago where like someone came in and they're like, "Yeah, you complain a lot about this game," and I was like, "Yeah, I do complain a lot." And it's just like this type of experience where playing the game for so long, like it definitely is like a game I wouldn't say is like any other in a way. And I think that's also just because every game that's been its quote unquote competition has kind of fell off in a way. And I think that's also a good and bad thing because like I only play this in terms of horror games, but yeah, I think that's a good point. I think we would also agree that you should leave it in the game. Like once you like message people or harass someone, that's like a totally different issue. Like
Correct.
I think we would see eye to eye on that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of like, would you consider if I like got a 4K and I went in someone's chat and put GG easy, would that be me being toxic?
I think so. I think that I mean, it's obviously not as toxic if you were to like go throw personal insults. It's being a sore winner in regards to the game, but I think that the intent is there. You're really in trying to make someone mad, like in real life. You're not just playing the game. You're now in someone's Twitch chat, human being to human being, trying to invoke a negative reaction. And I think that there's definitely toxicity there. Yeah, I would say. I mean, I again, if there's levels to it though, right? I think that that's on the more mild side of toxicity in terms of like there's way worse things you could say, way worse things you can do. There are some people who think it's toxic to go into someone's chat and just say GG if you won.
Yeah.
If survivors like completely destroy you and then come in your chat and just say GG, that is not toxic. And anybody who thinks that that's toxic is absolutely like full of shit in my opinion. They're just whiny and entitled. But yeah, I think GG easy and being a sore winner, that definitely is where it starts to get into that territory because you're trying to invoke a negative reaction, not just in the game, outside of the game at that point.
So would you say like, okay, so would you say that's also the same case, but even like if it's just like if we like, I don't know, like I think that's a good kind of thing because like I think wouldn't that just be like because there's no way, like for example for me, I'm on PlayStation and I can't, like there's no end game chat, like I can't do that. Like if I go to their stream and just put like I don't know, like I want it to be in game trash talk, but I can't do it in the game is my like thing. Like I wish I could, but like I physically can't. So if I still do GG easy, but I'm doing in their Twitch chat, like do you think that's still me leaving like the realm of the game?
I think it's the same. I don't think there's really a difference. I think if you put it in the end game chat or if you put it in the Twitch chat, it's the same thing. You're trying to, like, the match is over. You're now just talking to this person, like actually speaking to them, and you're trying to invoke a negative reaction. So I think that there is still, it doesn't really matter if if it's in their Twitch chat or not.
I would argue there's just a little bit of a difference just because like in the game, like the game has the void that chat for a reason. Like I'm pretty sure when they put that chat in the game, they knew it wasn't going to be for like the most friendliest of reasons. Like it would produce some like toxic interactions. Like I mean, you highlight them in your video yourself, and I think that like I don't know, like I think that if I do it in their Twitch chat, like yeah, it's me talking trash, but I'm talking trash about them in the game. Like that should still be like quote unquote fine. like I'm not bringing up their personal. Like I would never insult someone personally. It's just
No, like, and
I'm
I
talking
agree.
about the game.
No, and I agree, and that's why I said that there's levels to it. I don't think that like you're like an awful person if you go into someone's Twitch chat and say GG easy. I just think like you're a little bit of an asshole. Like that's all. I mean,
Mhm.
because to me, it's like if the match is over and you are taking the time out of your day to go on Twitch, type in their username, go into their Twitch chat, wait for the pre-roll ad to finish, and then say something that is for the sole purpose to provoke them and get a negative reaction. There's inherently toxicity in that, and you are specifically trying to be an asshole to somebody. So to say that that's not toxic at all is just it's a bit dishonest. But to say that it's not the same as telling someone to off themselves or saying anything personal, I would agree there. But it's still you're being an asshole.
So you would just say the action of just like going out of my way to do that would be me being the asshole.
Yeah, I think that's an asshole thing to do. Yeah.
Hmm. I get what you're.
What's the goal? Like what is your goal? In a match is over, you look up their Twitch stream, you go in their
Mhm.
chat, you say GG easy. What is the goal there?
The goal is just me trash talking them about the game. Like that's it. It has nothing to do with like. I would give it more credence if I had said just more than just GG easy. If I'm just saying GG easy, that is literally just me saying, "Good game, that was easy." Like there's no like personal attack on them. If someone takes that as pro attack, that's them qualifying the game as like a personal thing to them, which I would abstain from doing that.
I don't think it's a personal attack either, but I still think it's you being an asshole. And I think that when you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing when you're doing that. Like
Of course, yeah, I know it can ruffle feathers, of course, but I think
it's not no
wouldn't you argue?
it's not that you know it's roughly like you know that that's what you're trying to do. Like it's not that you know that that's a
No, I'm
possibility.
not trying to do that. No, I think you can go. I think actually a lot of interactions I've had so far as when I started streaming is people will come in and do that, and then you talk to them about the game, and then it starts actually becoming a pretty like calm and fun interaction because like you start talking about like, oh, you actually like did this, you actually did that, like not in a mean way, just like friendly banter. Like I think a lot of
I
people would
think
think,
I just think that's disingenuous. Like I'm the same way. If someone comes into my chat and says GG easy, I'm not going to have a negative reaction because
yeah,
I know what if someone's trying to do that. And if you are somebody who go like at least that's what it seems like is you are somebody who goes into people's chat to say GG easy. So that means if someone does it to you, like you're not going to give them that negative reaction because you already know that that's what they would expect. So you're going to give them something else. But
well, I mean,
again, I'm not
most
saying.
times,
Again, I don't think you saying GG easy makes you a bad person or means you're personally attacking them. I just think it makes you a little bit of an asshole. That's all.
yeah, like I agree with what you're saying that the whole premise is me leaving the game
If you
and me
wanted to,
going.
yeah, if you wanted to go and just start a conversation with somebody, you could just say GG or like, hey, fun game. But you throwing in like the easy part of it, just like you'd know that you're kind of rubbing salt in the wound a little bit, and that there's a good chance that you're going to get a negative reaction. Doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah,
Doesn't make you a toxic individual. It just means you're a little bit of an asshole. That's all.
yeah, but wouldn't it be like the same logic of that you bought the game? Wouldn't you expect like don't you kind of expect that
It's
like
not in the
especially
game.
once you become a
It's
I
not.
know, but okay, so then once you become a streamer, isn't that kind of what you're signing up for as well?
I'm not saying you shouldn't expect that to happen as a streamer. I mean, bad, of course, like shitty. You're gonna have shitty interactions or people coming into your chat to
Yeah,
troll you. But just because you expect something or it comes with the territory doesn't mean that it's like a nice thing to do. I mean, it's
no,
like
I just think we kind of differ on like I guess the significance of me doing that. Like I think like most like I'm telling you the times that I do it, I put it and I more often not follow them because it's just like I'm just doing like a friendly banter thing. Like I'm not doing it to hurt their feelings.
yeah. And again, I'm not saying that you're. Like, I'm not saying it's like a severe thing. I'm saying it just makes you like to me. I think that's a little bit of an asshole thing to do. And like it's
Hmm.
like no people aren't gonna know your exact how you're framing it when you're saying that. I mean, GG Easy is pretty notoriously seen as like a haha I won you lost like kind of thing, and if people are competitive, and they like to win and they maybe just had a rough match, then that might just make them feel worse. So I mean,
Hmm.
there's a chance that they're not going to give a shit and they're going to be playful with you and have fun, but there's also a chance that they're already frustrated and they're going to be more frustrated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree there. I think that, like, I think it's just something that I think it's kind of like in a way not funny, but more like I just like it's just friendly. I think that's where we just disagree. Where like it's me just doing friendly banter, but I can see from your perspective that's me like poking someone. Like that could lead to something else. Like I hear what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, it just depends on everybody's, I guess, how they. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like if I know that that's gonna, like in real life, I don't know. I would rather just say GG, unless I was trying to piss them off, I guess. But
Okay. So, but do you feel that like whenever so you would say like trash talk within the end game chat is just more acceptable?
it depends on the trash talk. Like I said, I don't think there's that much of a difference between saying GG easy in endgame chat and doing it in someone's Twitch chat, except I guess going to someone's Twitch chat does take more effort. Like you have to go way more out of your way to do that. So it seems like you're trying harder to be a little bit of an asshole. Whereas like endgame chat, it's right there. You can just the match is already over. You just hit GG easy and then you go to the next match. Like that's takes 2 seconds to do that. It takes a lot more time to look up someone's channel, sit through a pre-roll ad and then type it in and then wait for them to respond. Like it's way more time consuming to do that. But I mean, I'm not like that against trash talking in the game. Like I always differentiate salt and toxicity. So like if I get somebody in my chat who's like, "Oh, fuck you for using," or not my chat or even endgame, like, "Oh, fuck you for using Noed," or "You suck at this killer," or this and that. I don't look at that as toxic. I look at that as salt. Like I think just someone's being a salty baby. But as soon as someone makes things personal and brings it outside of the game, then I think it's more toxic. So yeah, I think if people are bitching about playstyles or perks or whatever, they're just being whiny and entitled and salty. And then the minute that it gets to like, oh, I'm looking up your Steam profile and I'm looking up your Twitch account and I'm, not in my case, but other streamers like, oh, I'm shaming how many viewers you have. I'm making fun of your appearance. Like that's toxic versus like salty entitlement. I always differentiate the two.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I think there is a difference between being toxic and being like salty. Like I think
I mean, because I
being
think like even in voice chat games, like I was playing Arc Raiders the other day with Rapid Main, and like we were like in voice chat, like going back and forth with people, like, oh fuck you, like, oh you haha you suck, da, 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 like just like and I think that's fine, like it's goofy, it's funny, but if we were to like track down the profiles of these players after the raid was over and be like, yo dude, you're ugly and this and that and you're it's just not it's just not the same. One is within the game and one is not.
Okay. Yeah, I agree there. I think well, that being said, do you think Dead by Daylight should have voice chat or no?
Man, that's a whole other thing. I say yeah, I say yes, but I understand why people say no. But I've always been pro voice chat. I at the very least think they should add emotes to the game, if anything, but I don't think that they'll ever add either. So.
Yeah, I agree. I would disagree on emote just because I just think it's another room to be quote unquote like salty and like toxic. I think that would.
See to me, but that's the thing though, is like that's like especially in a match, I think that shit is like fun, and I think that's where the real banter is. Like I'm a fan of teabagging, I'm a fan of hitting on hook, I'm a fan of all that stuff. I like that like to me that's in-game banter, is like the stuff that's the animations, the things that are the pixels, not even necessarily the talking to each other after the match, because I think that's where you start to get outside the game, because the match is already over at that point anyway. We're not really in the game anymore. But the things like teabagging, hitting on hook, whatever, that is in the game. And I think of games like Friday the 13th, like some of the funniest clips and most entertaining things I've ever seen of that game were like all the emotes and the dancing and stuff. And I hope that they add that in the new Halloween game, because it's going to be just as funny as it was then. And DBD would have so many incredibly funny moments. And also, dude, I just, like, it's... People have fucking mauled over the dumbest stuff in this game, and I just know that if you add emotes, so that's why behavior will never do it, and I understand, but like people would just lose their damn minds.
But do you think like that's understandable, or you think that's like more like them being silly?
Silly. I don't think it's understandable. I've said this a million times, but like I have a 12-year-old who
yes,
for the last like 2 years has played Fortnite on and off, and like He's never fucking throwing fits over people emoting on him when he loses in Fortnite. So I'm like, if my child can handle being emoted on, then the grown adults playing a blood and guts rated M horror game, those grown adults should be able to handle dancing pixels. Like, to me, it's like, if a child can handle it, you should be able to handle it. It's not that deep. But that's just my 2 cents. I think it's fun.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Would you say though that once you start like from a survivor's perspective, once you start being like salty and like funny in the game, like teabagging and like and slapping the killer, would that like does that give the killer to be like have a pass to be toxic or no?
Like, toxic in real life, or like, what do you mean by
No,
toxic?
like toxic, like in the end game, like they say like they start talking trash.
No, I don't think so. No, I think what's in the game is in the game, and what's outside the game is outside the game. I think if killers are, or sorry, survivors are teabagging, like, if that is enough to hurt your feelings, then that says more about you than it does the survivors, in my opinion. I
But
mean,
once you, but a lot of survivors, like I know a lot of survivors doing like to have fun and like to be silly, but like you would agree that a lot of them doing it to just be like as toxic as possible.
no, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't like to assume that stuff. I mean, I teabag all the time as survivor. I love, my favorite part of this game is being chased, and I know that the best chance I have of being chased is if I can get the killer's attention, and the best way to do that is hit him with a pallet and teabag until there's no tomorrow, and just get them to want to get you out of the game. And that goes for anybody who likes being chased and doesn't want to just sit on gens and, be altruistic all game. And I don't think there's any problem with that. Teabagging has existed.
No,
Yeah.
there's no problem with it, but then there's no problem with the killer afterwards being like a trash talker about it because you're like you can't be flamboyant and like be very boisterous, and then once the killer does it back, like say, what are you doing, you know?
To me, I think if you, again, to me that just is more about who you are, not you specifically, but if you're somebody who gets that hurt over gestures in a game, that you then need to take it outside of the game and talk shit to them personally. To me, it's like that says more about you, that you think those gestures mean that much. Because I certainly don't. I just don't agree with that at all.
No, like I also agree they don't mean more than just like pixels in the game. Like it's just someone pressing R1 or pressing down on their keyboard. Like it's something more than that. I'm just more so saying once you do that, you have to kind of understand that if the killer's going to be like trash talking afterwards, you kind of started it in a way.
Well, I mean, like, where did we draw the line though? Like if a survivor's teabagging at pallets and stuff, like, how salty is the killer allowed to be before it's too far?
The killer is allowed to say like how we said, how it's allowed to say like GG easy, or you're allowed to say like easy 4K, or you're like no one's saying. I'm definitely not saying you're gonna say you're horrible at the game, delete the game. No, I'm just saying that once you do that, a little pushing the bearer but teabagging and do all that, you can do it back as a killer afterwards because they started in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a huge issue with that. Like, I mean, I think if survivors are teabagging and you beat a team that's being trolly, and like if you want to say GG easy, I don't think that's a huge deal. The same goes for if killer's hitting you on hook all game or bleeding you out, and then you happen to win. If you want to like say GG easy, I don't look at that as the end of the world.
Okay, so it's like it's really just like once you take it outside the game.
Yeah, I more so think the line is where it gets personal more so. Like I think it's more, again, differentiating salt and like actual toxicity. So I just don't like to. I've said this before, but I just don't like to group everything under toxicity, because to me it's like you're just putting too many things in the same basket. Like,
yeah,
like, is telling someone to off themselves the same thing as saying GG easy? Like, to me, absolutely not. So I would say, so I would say one is toxic and one is like being a sore winner, or like you suck for using NOED. I don't think that's toxic to say. I think that you're just being salty. I think it's way more toxic to say like, oh, you're ugly, this slur, this slur, this slur. Like, that's toxic. So I don't like to put everything in the same basket is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree there. I think there's obviously levels to it. Once like if you call someone ugly versus calling someone bad at a game, that's totally two different things. Like
Mhm.
one's a personal attack, one's a attack on their skill of a game. But I guess wouldn't it be kind of like, I don't know, because like I feel like you kind of have like I would have like I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Like wouldn't I have to be careful about that too? Because like what if the person takes the game like they're proudful about it? Like should I be careful about hurting their feelings since the game is important to them or no?
You mean in terms of like just the in-game trash talking?
Yeah, because like if because I know earlier you said that
Here's the way I
like
look
if
at
you
it. I think whenever you are going to be the first person to draw blood in terms of actually talking trash after the game, then you're kind of the one opening up the can of worms. I don't think it's the person who teabags or the person who hits on a hook. I think it's the person who actually speaks first. So like if you say GG easy and then that person tells you to off yourself, absolutely not justified. That other person took it way too far. Um, but like, I mean, it's if you're trying really hard to provoke somebody and they give you a negative reaction, like you sort of got what you asked for. Obviously,
Mhm.
not called for, not justified. But it's like,
But you would still like, so I would kind of still be to blame though because I started it.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say you're to blame. No, I wouldn't say that you're to blame for them saying that. No, I would just say that maybe it's less likely to have happened. I guess, but who knows? If someone, to me, it's like, if someone is willing to say that over GG Easy, then who knows what? Like they might have said it anyway. Like to me, I just can't. I can't. I guess fathom telling someone that. So I don't really know where the line is for those people. Like if someone is so comfortable telling you to off yourself, then maybe it wouldn't have mattered if you said GG easy or not. Like, you know?
Hmm.
So I don't know.
So
I,
you, okay.
I
I
don't
mean,
I
yeah,
don't
I
I
get
don't
what you're
I don't I don't think I would necessarily say it's your fault. I would say maybe you didn't need to provoke them and that wasn't necessarily called for, but I don't think that means you asked to be told to kill yourself.
Yeah, like like I would never do that. Like I think, like I said, like when I told you, like I think anytime I do that, like I understand it could have negative ramifications,
Mhm.
but at least from my perspective, at least from mine, when I do it, I'm just doing it because that's just how I trash talk in game. Like I'm not like trying to like make them have a bad day or anything. I'm just doing it because it's just a silly game. Like it's just like how you said, like you always say, like it's just a game about like killing people in a game. Like it's not like I just don't really like I don't feel bad for doing it, but I guess like going forward, I guess I will have more consideration like for what it could lead to.
I mean, that's totally up to you. I'm not trying to, you know, don't use my opinion to control what you do or don't do. If you want to do that, do it. It's just, you know what may come from it. Not
Hmm.
again, not that it makes it justified. If you were to go into a streamer's chat and say that, and then they say some awful stuff to you, it doesn't mean what they say is justified. But if you're going in there throwing stones, the glass house may fall. You
But is
just
that really throwing a stone? Like, is that really what it is?
maybe not throwing a stone, but like you said it earlier, poking. You're kind of just poking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're just kind of like you're giving a little nudge, like a little wink, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And I guess it just depends on where that person's at mentally, or where
Yeah.
how seriously they take the game. Who knows? Everybody's a different case, I guess.
So you would say like you're a person who plays like more so just for fun?
I'm a mix. I mean, I'm kind of like you, where sometimes my fun is dictated by winning the match. I'm a naturally competitive person. I like to win, but I don't need to win all the time.
Hmm.
That's why sometimes I play Chest Protector Bubba, Basement Bubba, things like other goofy play styles where or when I like, for example, when I play with Joey and do like the trolley survivor stuff. Like, my goal isn't to like do the gens and escape, GG easy killer. Like, my goal is to just get some stuns and most likely die. So it just depends. I think for me personally, not everybody, but for me, I like to mix it up because if I do the same thing too much, I get really bored and burnt out. So, one day I might be doing viewer builds and trying really hard every game to win, and then one day I might just do a full base and Bubba stream where I'm just chilling with Insidious. The more I mix it up, the less I'm burnt out. So, for me, my fun is whatever it is that day, but I don't really necessarily have one particular style that's fun for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that like I think because I from like 2018 to like at least like middle of this year, like I've been only been playing really killer. I don't know how I'm still like mentally saying that, right? But I just think that, like, yeah, I think that's good to have a balance. Like, I think it just really is kind of boring just playing one side. Like, I think that playing Survivor can be really fun sometimes, but I just think that like you would say that both sides are like equally. Oh, I think you said earlier that the game is leaning towards clear side, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering when we were going to get back to sort of the first kind of the topic where you'd kind of mentioned that you, as far as killer entitlement, you felt like
Mm.
it was more justified for killers to be entitled than it was for survivors, which I just strongly disagree on that.
Yeah, and I kind of the reason I say that is just because we had talked about how the changes that were made to the game, but you had brought up the fact that they negated them. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you're explaining that like that kind of entitlement is invalid because they got rid of the changes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just at the end of the day, like, even if they, regardless of what changes behavior's making, I think anytime you as a player are trying to control how somebody else plays or shame how somebody else plays or call them a bad person for how they play, I think that nobody deserves to have that level of entitlement. I
Hmm.
think no matter what, you're just a crybaby in that scenario and you're an entitled shitter. Like I don't care if your side in the game has been given more buffs or nerfs. If you're somebody who has that mentality towards somebody, like all the people calling Joey a toxic, insufferable piece of shit, whatever, all because he used head on, and
Hmm.
like there's no amount of buffs, nerfs to either side that would justify that kind of entitlement for me. I think that if you act that
Yeah.
way, if you act that way or have truly have those thoughts over pixels, then you need to take a break. You might not be fit for online gaming in general if it means that much to you. Just I just think that that's just beyond ridiculous. And the fact that a lot of these killers can't see the hypocrisy behind the way that they feel, how they're so fine watching me play base from Bubba over the years and troll survivors, but the second I switch up and play survivor and do some trolling, now all of a sudden I am now I'm a villain all of a sudden. It's like, dude, why is it okay for one side and not the other side? It just doesn't make sense to me. So the whole thing has been kind of eye opening to me in terms of killer entitlement.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it on a level like this in some time, so it's been interesting.
Well, I guess my entitlement, like I guess it stems from a little bit different. Like just for some perspective, I saw your thing with Joey, and I just think it's just silly survivor gameplay. Like you're not hurting anyone. Like that's the thing that JRM does. It's stuff that a lot of popular survivor players do. Like they just have fun. Like that's it. I just think my entitlement came from like because I know you've said there's no like crutch perks, there's no ending, right? Like you think pretty much any perk can be good and any perk can be bad, right?
No, I mean I've had different opinions on crutch perks. My main issue was that crutch perks aren't a problem to use. Like if people want to use them,
Hmm.
like they can be frustrating to go against. But like I think too many people in the community like shame people for using them or like say you're bad for using this, you're bad for that, you're toxic for this. The last debate that I did, the person was saying initially that people who use meta perks are toxic, and like I just think that whole
Hmm.
mentality is silly. Um,
Yeah.
I just think that the perks you use and things like that don't equate to that.
Yeah, I would agree too. Like, if everyone ran Windows and DS and, Deliverance and Resilience, like, I don't think that's toxic. You're just using the stuff the game gave you.
Yeah, and it's
But I
perfect.
do
I think
think,
it's perfectly valid to think those things like that's boring. I think it's perfectly valid to
hmm
think to get burnt out after. I mean, I've talked about that in my videos where it's like when you go against meta over and over on either side, it's like I had a large stretch where most of my killer games I was just getting super sweaty teams, and then in my solo queue survivor games I was just getting bled out and tunneled out at 5 gens, and it was just kind of like it just felt very repetitive, and I understand how that can feel frustrating, but I just don't agree with like blaming the players for doing it when it's like if they're playing efficiently or if they're playing using the perks they want to use and using the playstyles that they want to use, then all the power to them. I just wouldn't put the blame on the players. I would just say that the meta in general is boring and stale, which happens in all PvP games. So
yeah, like, I would initially, I agree with the beginning, like, of how, like, it's kind of a running joke on my streams where it's like, the generic build today is going to be DS, Resilience, Finesse, and like it's going to be like the same perks over and over again.
mhm.
I just think the entitlement, from my perspective, the reason I kind of justified it was like in a scenario where if you're facing like a 4-man Swift and they're running the same perks that are synergizing together, and you win as Trapper, you have like the entitlement to be like quote unquote salty or like toxic afterwards. Like I think it's more like I don't think it's entitlement to call people like it's no skill and all that. I just think it was entitlement from my perspective. Like I had like less to do and I won, and you had more to like play with since like you're stacking perks and all that.
So basically what you're saying is like in that scenario, if you're playing a really shit killer and you beat a super meta Swift, it just gives you more like bragging rights essentially.
Yeah, that's honestly the whole thing. Like that's honestly what I agree with in terms of kiddo entitlement, because for most of my Dead by Daylight playing, I've only played low tier killers. Like Michael recently got buffed, and that was nice. Like I had played him before that, like way before that. And I think just overall, like from my perspective, I do play weaker killers, and like I do think that gives me, like just from my perspective, just a little bit more like bragging rights. Like I don't think it gives me the right to like call someone trash. It's just more like I'm winning with a bad killer. I don't think it's a bad thing for me to be like a little bit bragging about that, I guess.
I mean, I don't think it's the end. If you want to, if you feel good about your win and you want to brag about it a little bit, I don't think that's the end of the world. I don't think that makes you a bad person. At the end of the day, we're just talking about the game. So, I mean, I'm sure survivors feel the same way. If everybody loads up in a solo queue lobby and they're able to 4-man out a full slowdown ghoul, you know, those survivors
Oh yeah,
probably all feel
of
like
course.
they probably all like, oh yeah, holy shit, we actually beat this ghoul, like GG easy. Like I can understand feeling like you overcame something. We all have our preferences. I mean, I get that all the time. I don't necessarily feel the need to like vocalize it to them afterwards unless they start talking shit first. Like if I were to beat a full meta team as a weak killer and then they started talking shit to me, I'd be like, motherfucker, you just lost to Myers with furtive chase and you're all
Oh
running
yeah.
you're all running Dead Hard and DS. Like, why are you talking shit? Like, you just lost to me, you know? But I'm not usually the one to just immediately brag, but that's just a personal preference thing.
Okay. So what would you like define killer entitlement as then? Like what do you think it is?
The no killer entitlement, at least in regards to what I've been talking about recently, and in terms of those videos, the entitlement aspect of it is feeling like you, feeling like you. How do I word this? The feeling that other people need to adjust what they're doing and play a certain way to appease you. So, like, in that sense with the videos, like, they're mad that me and Joey were using head-on and stuff like that. They don't want us to play that way because it might be unfun for them. The same way that
Hmm.
survivors yell at you for camping and tunneling and slugging because that's not fun for them. It's like, oh, these survivors are entitled. They're trying to control how I'm playing so that they can have fun. It's like, worry about your own fun, and I'm worrying about mine. It's a PvP game. So when killers are trying to tell survivors, hey, don't do this because now you're bullying me, or don't do this because you're playing too sweaty, those killers are acting just as entitled as survivors who complain about camping and tunneling and whine in the endgame chat. So that's what I'm getting at, is all these people that are in my comments after I played with Joey whining about the way that he plays and the way that I played, and whining about the fact that I gave him a shout out on my channel. They're all incredibly entitled because they're whining about how we play the game, and they want to dictate how we play the game because it's based around their fun. And that's just blatant entitlement. That's the definition.
Okay, so your problem is more when they like when you're being the one who's like I guess they like your base and bubble. They don't like when you are being like head oning and flashbanging someone.
Yeah, like they think it's funny when I post a salt video where I camp and tunnel survivors and the survivors are mad and they're like, haha, those survivors are so entitled. But then when I play a trolley survivor build, then they're in my comments complaining about how we played. It's like they're acting the same way as the survivors in my salt videos, and the same survivors that they laugh at, by the way, they're acting the same way about a play style. And it's like the fact that they can't see that is it's like I said, it's been eye-opening. I cannot believe the lack of self-awareness that a lot of these killer players have. It's mind-boggling to me.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, like I do think that that's where I draw the line in terms of like I can't be someone who like just enjoys like BMing someone or someone like just like humping them on the ground or like I guess a lot of killer mains have the problem of being willing to dish it out but not take it. Like I think that's unfortunately what a lot of killer mains had, and it took me a while to get over that. Like, I think, yeah, I think you said it right, where how you can't really have it like it has to go both ways. You can't just have it where I enjoy Spooks when he's trolling survivors, but not when he's trolling killers. Like, I do think, like, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I think
Exactly.
you kind of hit the head on that, like, where it's,
And it would be different
yeah,
if my whole like career on YouTube I haven't been a troll. Like I had killer and survivor. I think up different random builds to be a troll and to like goof around, and like that's like I like love playing that way. Like it's just whether it's killer or survivor. So it's just obviously I've done it a lot more as killer because I've mostly been a killer main, but it's just interesting to me that killers who are subscribed to me have watched me do all this trolling, and they laughed at all these entitled survivors getting mad at me, and now they've flipped because I'm trolling as survivor. Even though I have trolled as survivor in the past many times, and they just didn't notice, I guess. But because I made a specific video giving a shout out to this really nice guy, now it's an issue, and now suddenly I've turned to the dark side. So
yeah.
yeah, it's just stupid in my opinion. But
Do you think there's like any way, like, not that's your responsibility or anything, like it's none of our responsibility, but like how does the game like become less like our side versus their side, I guess? Like, do you think there's any way to fix that or no?
I mentioned this in the last debate that I posted on YouTube the other day, but I mentioned that in my opinion, I think that the moment you stop setting expectations for how the other side should play, regardless of what that is, whether it's perks, playstyles, whatever, the moment you stop expecting something from the other side, or even from your teammates in solo queue, like the moment you just stop expecting things from other players and you just play the damn game, like it's freeing. It's freeing because you're not reliant on these people doing or not doing something to have fun. The moment you let those expectations go, you can have fun regardless, and your fun is dependent on what you do. And the moment that you are responsible for your own fun, that's when you get to have the most fun because nobody else can ruin that. If all of your fun is based on what you do or not do, then nobody can ever make you not have fun. So let go of the expectations, let go of the assumptions, let go of the do this, don't do this, whatever bullshit in a PvP asim game. Let it all go, and then boom, you're going to have way more fun because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Where like you're saying that you should only focus on like, or you should really like expect people to play how you want them to play. Like, that's true. Yeah, I don't. I think
And by the way, that doesn't mean that you can't be frustrated when things happen. Like, doesn't mean you can't be frustrated if you get camped or tunneled. That doesn't mean you can't be frustrated if you go against a head-on squad or whatever. It doesn't mean you can't feel frustration or feel rage, but it's just like going the extra mile of like, oh, these people are toxic, or these people should never do that, or they should never use it. Like, it's just, we all get frustrated, we all rage. I've raged many times, punched my desk, yelled, but it's never about the player. It's just about my frustration with the game. And if I'm frustrated at head on, it's because I'm frustrated with the perk in the moment. I'm not frustrated at that player. I would never be mad at that person for using that perk and actually getting me with it. That's stupid in my opinion. So it's just, I wish people could realize that their frustration is more to do with the game or just with their mindset or whatever, more so than it is with the other people on the other side of the screen. And then they wouldn't make things so personal, and they wouldn't take things so personally.
Okay, yeah, like that makes sense. I guess going back to that, like, if you take things less personally, wouldn't like you're saying that you can kind of like be more free and have more fun if you do that. Like, wouldn't that be like more if I just like in that scenario, if I do say GG easy, wouldn't you not care then? Like, should no one care then?
Well, that's the thing, is everybody's mindset is different in that sense, where it's like, to me, GG easy is not like a play style in the game. It's not a perk. It's not a perk in the game. I don't think you quite can equate it the same way.
I guess I equate it just because it has to do about the game. Like, I'm still talking about the game. Like we're talking about the game. Like as long as I'm talking about the game, like most that should be just fair game.
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, when the match is over, and you're talking to another human, and you're being a sore winner, that's a different type of interaction than pixels, because you can't look at if you look at teabagging and you think of it as toxic, or you think that they're being a sore winner, or being a sore whatever. That's you assuming. But if someone says GG easy, there's nothing to assume. Like that person is just trying to brag and be a sore winner. Because that's them actually talking to you and actually communicating using letters, talking to you when the match is over. And just to reiterate, I don't think you saying GG easy makes you like a bad person. I just think that it's just a dickish thing to do. Is all. So I wouldn't compare it. I wouldn't compare it.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't like. I don't take it as you're like scolding me or no. I just think it's like. I just think that's where we like disagree. Is that
That's fair.
I just think it's more like I only justify it, quote unquote, just because I'm talking about the game. Like as long as I'm talking about the game, even if it's quote unquote trash talk, I just think it's fine because I'm still keeping it in the realm of gaming. Like once I step out of that, go ahead and like dump on me. Like I'm the bad guy. I know that. But if I keep it within the context of the game, I just think it's fine. Like just from my perspective.
Yeah, and I think it is not nearly as severe or bad as if it were to be something actually personal. But, it's... And I don't know, it is an interesting conversation because, there's I guess there's arguments that could be made for both sides. You know what I mean? I mean technically, yeah, it is about the game, but it's also outside the game because the match is over. And especially when you just go into their Twitch chat and they're already in the next match, to me, like it feels in the game and out of the game. It feels like we're kind of dipping toes in and outside of the line. So I don't really know, but at the end of the day, you do what you got to do. That's fine.
Yeah, like I think you make a good point about like philosophical, like in terms of that. It's like, yeah, I'm leaving the game. I just think like I'm just talking about the game at least.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like, I just think that you're right on how survivor killers have to be able to take it both ways. I just was arguing from my perspective of like, just more so like the game mechanics. Like that's the only thing I'm entitled about in terms of that. I'm not entitled about like survivors can be as toxic or like salty as they want. Like it's part of the game. Like I do it all the time as survivor. I'm just saying like. I just think it's like I brag a little bit when I use like bad killers. That's the only thing.
You have every right to brag if that's what you want to do. You have at it. You have right at it. I mean,
but would you say like that's me being entitled or no?
No, I don't think. I don't think bragging about winning is being entitled. No.
Okay.
No. Again, entitlement is more so like expecting someone to do something to please you, like to benefit you, so you can have fun. Expecting other people to do things, like that's entitlement. You bragging about winning, that's not entitlement. That's just you bragging.
But do you think that like I know some people are like another popular alternatives like say GG well played or like just like GG like how you said earlier. Like I guess it's also like I've seen people do that like with like not for the best intentions, just like to throw it out there, like to see how people react. Like let's just say for example, like the killer got ran for 3 gens, and the survivor comes like and says GG well played, like, and they see the killer's upset. Like, do you think that's also the same as GG easy or no?
No, I think it just depends on. It all depends on the intent. I mean, some people just say GG as a reflex after every game, or GG well played, because that's just always been gaming etiquette since forever. The same way that it's been gaming etiquette in terms of like communication aspect, and like that GG easy is sort of a more of a poking thing to do as opposed. So, I mean, Yeah, I mean, of course, people can definitely say GG in bad faith, 100%, and I'm sure people do. I know people do, but that doesn't mean that you should assume it's in bad faith unless you know it is, if that makes sense. Like, if you had a rough match and you're frustrated and someone tells you GG, you shouldn't just assume that person's doing it in bad faith, because maybe they're just saying GG if they came to your stream and maybe they have you muted or something. They don't know that you're frustrated. So I definitely don't think it's the same as saying GG easy, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think actually there was like a couple weeks ago where I had got ran for a while by like a specific survivor, and they came afterwards and said GG, and I was frustrated about it and like take it as they were poking me. I've seen examples of that. I know I've seen like people kind of do that intentionally, like where they'll intentionally like be like give the survivor a rough time and still say GG, well play. I guess how you said it just depends on their intentions.
I would, yeah, it does depend on their intentions. I think intent is what matters most. Um, Yeah, I am. We're running a little bit late in this debate as far as the time windows, but I do want to ask: was there any other like specific topics that you wanted to go over before I let you go?
I guess just one more thing is more so like, like, do you think? I guess more like a like less spicy topic is like, do you think the game is in a good spot, or like, do you think it's in a bad spot? Like, do you think like the future's bright, or like, are we doomed, or what's like, what do you think is going on?
I don't. I don't think the game is in a very good state. Unfortunately, I think behavior has spent a lot of time and resources trying to fix the game or balance the game in ways that weren't the right ways, and they didn't necessarily listen uh, to the community in certain times, and because of that, they've had